Raw took place in Turin, Italy at Inalpi Arena. This was the same venue that hosted Clash in Italy yesterday. And this European tour for WWE has certainly been the Italian tour. Last summer, about 9 months ago, was the French tour. Then this past winter was the German tour, and now we're on the Italian tour. And you still have SmackDown going to take place in Bologna, Italy this Friday. So this Raw show started off with Roman Reigns and the Usos heading to the ring after Roman's big win over Jacob Fatu yesterday, and Roman was massively over here to say the least. The fans were singing for him for several minutes before he could even talk. Eventually, Jay calls out Jacob to the ring, and Jay is back to being the right-hand man. No more yeet. Thank goodness. I hate the fucking yeet. And Jacob eventually comes out, and he was over too. The fans were singing to Fatu. They liked him. And it wasn't a situation where last night he was particularly getting booed. It was just that Roman was a much bigger star to the audience than Jacob was. But they still did like Jacob even in that match. And here they like him. And the whole thing is setting up for Jacob to acknowledge Roman. He fights with Jay. But eventually, Jacob Fatu acknowledges his tribal chief, Roman Reigns. He kneels before him. He basically does the Undertaker pose when he would get to one knee and like raise the arm. It was funny. It was like the Undertaker pose. But he kneels before Roman Reigns like he's kneeling before Zod, the Superman villain. Eventually, Jacob Fatu, he's joined the Bloodline. They all put their his finger up in the air. The Bloodline is back, so it seems, and I guess we're just going to wait for the MFTs to eventually join with Solo Sikoa, Tamatanga, Talatanga. We'll see if they join eventually, but that's where it looks like we're heading. The announcers talked about the mask versus mask match, which was going to be presented on Raw after the show. So actually not on Raw, after Raw on Netflix. So they're really promoting the hell out of this match. And they should have. It was an all-time classic, El Grande Americano versus the original Grande Americano, Chad Gable versus Ludwig Kaiser. All-time great match. You have to watch it. Penta was out next. Then Solo Sikoa came out after the break. Then Oba Femi came out to a big pop. Oba was super over for all the idiots who said Oba's buried after losing to Brock Lesnar after he took 7 fucking F5s in the match. But he's buried, right? He's buried. No, he's not fucking buried, you idiots. He lost to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's a fucking beast. Jeez, I know you don't like Brock, and it's easy not to like him for the things that, what he said. I'm not going to get into it, but I know why you don't like Brock. But to pretend that the man's not a fucking beast and that, like, that taking one loss to Brock Lesnar is going to kill you, like, just shut the fuck up. Seriously. Anyway, we got the King of the Ring quarterfinal Fatal 4-Way match. And by the way, I hate that we have fucking Fatal 4-Ways. It's such cheap shit by WWE because they don't want to beat particular people. Seriously, if you want to do a King of the Ring tournament, do a tournament. Like, do a real tournament. The brackets, the guys are in, is fine. It's just, I wish we had, like, singles matches instead of Fatal 4-Way matches. The Fatal 4-Way match, again, it's cheap because you don't want to beat some people. Anyway, Oba destroys everyone. He took out Talatanga even. And after the match, he won easily with a fall of man. This is the Oba show. After the match, he called out Brock Lesnar. He mentioned how it's 1-1. And I forgot to mention on my review on Clash in Italy yesterday that Brock also told Oba it's 1-1. So this is obviously leading to the trilogy match at SummerSlam, the rubber match. I think for the rubber match, what they should do is have it main event. I think maybe even have it main event night 2. That's how over this feud is. To me, this is the feud of the year. Easily. The only thing that maybe rivals it, or maybe you can say, some people would say it's better, is the El Grande Americanos feud that just wrapped up. But, that's not the main roster. I don't think people focus as much on it. The whole feud, not the match maybe at the end. But, I feel like with Brock and Oba, this is the feud of the year. I think for SummerSlam, if this is Brock's last match and he's retiring in Minnesota, have it main event night 2. That's how highly I think of this feud right now. And I love that match at Clash in Italy. I thought that was awesome. I liked it better than a WrestleMania match. And I liked the WrestleMania match a lot. I thought that match was great. So we got a Seth Rollins Braun Breaker video package. This was going to be like the blow-off match for the feud, which was surprising. But they're setting that up tonight. And it's a big match. And they had a great match. We'll get to that later. So we see Sol Ruka heading to the ring. Theory in the background was talking to Maxime Dupree. I don't care. I don't need to see Maxime Dupree in the Vision. Look, the thing is with the Bloodline back on Raw, there's no use for the Vision. There's no need for them to exist. In fact, I think Seth should probably just go to SmackDown. There's no need for the Vision now. Why? Look, Paul Heyman being in the Vision is so beneath him. I know it's Braun Breaker, but him in the Vision, that's so beneath him. With like Austin Theory and Maxime Dupree is going to be in the fucking Vision. That's just so beneath Paul Heyman. Anyway, we had the beautiful Kathy Kelly. Can I say that? She was in the ring as she introduced Sol Ruka into the ring. And I like looking at Kathy all the time. I love Kathy. Anyway, Sol cut a babyface promo. Listen, I want to like Sol. I like her in NXT a lot. I thought she can be a big star in the main roster. That promo was so milquetoast. I don't know if this is going to work with Sol Ruka. I think it's just a matter of time before she drops the Intercontinental Championship back to Becky Lynch. They show Roman Reigns confronting Cody Rhodes, and this was backstage yesterday at Clash in Italy. That match is going to happen. We're going to get Roman Cody 3. It's only a matter of when. It's not an if, it's a when. It could be at WrestleMania next year. I don't think it'll be at SummerSlam, but we'll get that match down the road. Roman was talking to the Usos backstage. He wants Jay to go win the King of the Ring. I hope to God that doesn't happen. Please do not have Jey Uso win King of the Ring. Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee were out next, and then we get Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee against Ethan Page and Rusev. Look, if this was not in a European city, not a European crowd, no one would care about this. But this European crowd made this fun. This Italian crowd made it fun, and it turned out to be an entertaining match in Torino. Rey pinned Ethan Page for the win. So him and Dragon Lee get the win. I'm surprised. I thought Ethan Page was going to beat Penta for the Intercontinental title. I'm not sure what they're doing with him, but Rey and Dragon Lee got the win. Backstage, Adam Pearce told Penta he'll face Rey very soon. This was after Penta lost his Fatal 4-Way match. But then LA Knight confronts Adam Pearce, and it was as if they're setting up an Adam Pearce LA Knight match. I hope not, but Knight I thought was very good here. He was almost using a heel run. He's frustrated with the bloodline, and I think he's going to cost Jey Uso the match for his King of the Ring match, his Fatal 4-Way match. We see Braun Breaker warming up. They show highlights of the mask versus mask match, including the aftermath of Chad Gable unmasking. Oh my God, Chad Gable is El Grande Americano. I could have never guessed. Io Sky was out next. Fans liked her, and then Roxanne Perez came out. And then Julia came out, and drumroll, Julia got a reaction. Oh my God, the fans liked Julia. They cheered for her. Once she showed the Italian flag on her jacket, that's when she got a big pop. They liked Julia. She was happy. It made her happy. Getting a reaction finally. I love the blonde hair. She's already attractive. I like the blonde hair. I'd never liked the blue braids. It didn't fit her. She looks good with the blonde hair a lot. She's very pretty anyways. I like that look. Then Lash Legend came out last. Why did Lash Legend come out after Julia? I don't fucking know. Anyway, we got the Queen of the Ring Fatal 4-Way match. Io Sky against Roxanne Perez against Julia against Lash Legend. It was so nice to see the fans cheer Julia. Julia and Roxanne teased reforming their alliance they had briefly last year after WrestleMania, if you recall. And the fans liked Io Sky as well as Julia. And they had Io pin Julia after an over the moonsault. Why? Why couldn't the way they set this up later in the show, it would have made all the perfect sense in the world for Io to just have pinned Roxanne. That would have made sense. Why did she pin Julia? That worries me about Julia's future. I don't know. I hope they weren't just giving her this. I really hope they weren't just giving Julia this match because she's half Italian, and like they were just giving her something here, like her last hurrah. Because it worried me that Io Sky pinned her so clean in the middle of the ring. Why would Julia get pinned in this position? And shows me they have no real plans for her, and that sucks. Maybe like Kiana James is going to be upset with her and call her a loser on SmackDown. And Julia will turn face formally on SmackDown, which is also going to be in Italy. Hopefully that they can do that, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Anyway, I'm glad Io won. Io should win. Io's, she should be one of the favorites to win the whole tournament. I wouldn't mind Io winning Queen of the Ring. She might win it. So her winning, I would have expected. I would have booked her to win, to be honest. But couldn't she have pinned Lash Legend and Roxanne Perez? I think Roxanne taking a pin. I know Roxanne takes too many pins anyways, but it would have made sense for what they did later in the show at the Judgment Day. Maxine Dupree talked to Adam Pearce about not being in Queen of the Ring. No one wants her in that tournament anyways. She gives attitude to Otis and Tozawa, whatever. We see Seth Rollins roaring up backstage for his match against Braun Breaker. El Grande Americano has appeared on the break. He was super over. Kaiser was. Nice to see. Definitely that match has gotten a lot of positive reception. So it translated into this match, into the segment, actually. And this was during the commercial break. I doubt many of the fans actually watched that match, but it had such positive reception online. I think many of them were cheering when he came out. Kathy Kelly, thankfully got more of her. I love seeing Kathy Kelly. She interviews Bayley and Lyra Valkyria backstage. Both of them want tag team title shots. Then Lyra left as Bayley was talking to go congratulate Sol Ruka. Then she basically challenged Sol Ruka for a shot at the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So clearly they're going to split Bayley and Lyra. What's up with Bayley? She's staying? I don't think so. I think she's gone. I think she's going to AEW. After her contract is up in September, I believe. I think she's gone. But, yeah, they're not, I don't know what she's still on TV, but I doubt she'll be in this company much longer. But we haven't heard much news on her contract. They preview next week's show. Backstage, Roxanne Perez was disappointed. Liv walked in, like the rest of the Judgment, they were kind of consoling her. Liv basically doesn't think much of it, and they're teasing tension here. And it would have made more sense if she got pinned, just to keep saying it, but they're setting up Liv and Roxanne. There's tension there now. I think where this is heading is Roxanne Perez is winning Women's Money in the Bank in September. And I think they're going to set up a situation where she cashes in on Liv. And I think they're doing the exact same playbook that they did when they had Tiffany trying to win Money in the Bank 2 years ago. Then she cashed in on Nia Jax when they had that alliance. And she turned on her and turned her face. I think the same thing's going to happen here where Liv's champion for a while. Roxanne's going to win Money in the Bank. Roxanne's going to cash in on Liv and get the belt from her. And then that it's similar to what they did with Tiffany and Nia 2 years ago. I think it's the exact same playbook. And Paul Levesque loves to do the same stuff. That's worked before. I think that's where we're heading. I think Roxanne's winning Money in the Bank. She's going to cash in on Liv. Same thing they did with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax 2 years ago. Seth Rollins was out next. Then Braun Breaker came out with Paul Heyman. Then we got the main event, Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. They got this as awesome chance. And you know what? This match was better than the Backlash match. And I liked the Backlash match they had a few weeks ago, but I thought this was a lot better. Fun match. It appeared they had a lot of time. They did a lot of good spots. Braun, so they did a cool spot with the announce booth where Braun was going to spear Seth from one table to another, but when Braun jumped, he got caught with a pedigree and he went through the table, and that looked really good. And then Theory interfered. Montez Ford fought him off. He did the dive to the outside over the post that he always does. Seth kicked out of his spear, and then what happens is he hits a curb stomp on Braun, goes to pin him, but Paul Heyman puts Braun Breaker's foot on the rope. He didn't botch it like B-Fab did yesterday. And Seth went to confront Braun, or so he went to confront Paul, but he kind of suckered Braun in where he let Braun, he moved out of the way as Braun was going to spear him, so Braun speared Paul Heyman, and he drove him through the barricade. Definitely a spot of the night. Paul Heyman gets crushed, gets speared, goes through the barricade. Hopefully this is the end of Paul Heyman in the Vision. I don't need to see him in the fucking Vision. They're going to bring Maxine Dupree in the fucking Vision. Having Paul Heyman aligned in the same group as with Maxine Dupree, that's such a fucking step down because Maxine Dupree is nobody. Sorry. But that took out Paul. Then Seth grabbed the belt. Braun went in the ring, went for another spear on Seth. He got hit the spear, but he also hit the belt face first. And that destroyed Braun. He got hit in the head with the belt. And he takes a curb stomp after that. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins pins Braun Breaker in the middle of the ring. Gets a big win. And he seems to rekindle his differences with Montez Ford after the match. Seth Rollins defeats Braun Breaker. He wins the feud with Braun. This is the end of the Vision. And that was how Raw ended. But right before the show ended, they promoted the Mask versus Mask match, which had a replay or an encore presentation after Raw. So that was Raw in Torino, Italy. I don't know if you pronounce it Torino. I know in English you're supposed to pronounce it Turin. They were pronouncing it Torino. I think yesterday they were pronouncing it Turin or Turin, I think. Torino. I'm just going to say Torino. That's what they were saying today. But that's the show, and that wraps up WWE in Torino. Probably for a while because, it's not Rome. They're not going to get a Raw every time they're in Europe or a SmackDown. So I thought the crowd was great in Torino, and we'll see what's next. They're in Bologna on SmackDown on Friday for SmackDown, but the European tour continues. And to be honest, I thought this edition of Raw was a better show than Clash in Italy was.